Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to jump right past the textbook stuff and dive into the real, living language of Mandarin Chinese. We're going to unlock those everyday, colloquial phrases, the ones that will make you sound a whole lot less like you're reading from a script and a lot more like a native speaker. You ever have that feeling? You've put in the hours, you've memorized the vocabulary, you feel like you know the grammar, but then you're listening to a real conversation, and you just feel totally lost. It's a super common frustration for learners, and trust me, there's a good reason for it. Well, here's the secret. Spoken language is packed with these colorful, figurative expressions that you just won't find in a beginner's textbook. And understanding these phrases, that's the real bridge to feeling fluent and comfortable in a conversation. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to decode them together. Okay, so here's our game plan. We've broken this down into 4 key areas. First, we'll talk about phrases for challenges and obstacles. Then, we'll get into the difference between just thinking about something versus actually doing it. After that, we'll learn some great ways to describe people and their feelings, and we'll wrap up with some phrases that really capture a mindset for success. First up, let's talk about the tough stuff. When life throws challenges our way, colloquial language has some really powerful ways to talk about it. Let's start with a really big one. Our first phrase is Lán Lù Hǔ. Let's say that again, nice and slow so you can really hear it. Lán Lù Hǔ. Literally, this means road-blocking tiger. I mean, just picture that for a second. You're on your path, and suddenly there's a tiger standing in your way. It's a very clear, very powerful image of a serious problem, right? So it makes sense that in conversation, a Lán Lù Hǔ means a major obstacle or a really significant challenge. This isn't a small hiccup, it's the main thing that's stopping you from getting where you need to go. So let's make this real for you. Think about it for a second. What is your personal Lán Lù Hǔ when it comes to learning Chinese? Is it grammar? Is it pronunciation and getting the tones right? Maybe it's something else. Figuring out what that tiger is, well, that's the first step to getting past it. Okay, let's move on to our next phrase. This one is so wan lu. Let's try it again slowly. So wan lu. This describes a slightly different kind of difficulty. The literal translation is to walk a winding road, and we all know a straight line is the shortest path. A winding road, by its very nature, isn't the most efficient way to get somewhere. And that's exactly what it means. zu走弯路 is to take the long way around, to make mistakes that maybe you could have avoided. You might have gotten to your goal in the end, but man, it was a bumpy ride that could have been a lot smoother. Now let's shift gears into our second section. Here, we're going to contrast the world of just thinking about things with the world of actually taking action. Chinese has some absolutely fantastic phrases for this. You can really break these phrases down into 2 groups, the ones for thinking and the ones for doing. Let's check out the thinking words first. So for just general thinking or considering, you might use sun xi. It's a pretty common spoken word. But then you've got sha zhuo mo. This is different. This is when you're thinking aimlessly, just turning something over and over in your head without a real purpose. That first character, sha, often tips you off that something is being done randomly or without direction. And now, for the action. When you're finally ready to jump in and get started, you use sha shou. It means to take action, to finally get your hands on it. But what if that task is really hard? That's where you might need to si ke. This one's powerful. It means you're going to persist with this stubborn, hardcore determination until the job is done. Okay, on to our third section. How do we use these kinds of phrases to talk about people? Let's look at some really cool expressions that describe someone's personality and even their financial situation. You know, a fantastic way to understand a word is to learn its opposite. So first we have 心大, which literally means big heart. This describes someone who is generous, easygoing, and doesn't get offended easily. The direct opposite is 小心眼. This is for someone who is a bit petty, overly sensitive, and definitely holds a grudge. So which one are you? Here's another great descriptive phrase. 不愁吃喝. Now, the literal meaning here is pretty easy to guess. No worries about eating and drinking. But it's not really just about food. In Chinese culture, eating and drinking are sort of a metaphor for basic survival and well-being. So if you say someone has 不愁吃黑, it's a very common way of saying they're financially secure. Their basic needs are more than covered. All right, for our last section, let's look at a couple of phrases that really capture a proactive, practical mindset, the kind you need to grow and reach your goals. These are expressions that have a bit of wisdom baked right in.
This is just a wonderful proverb, 一多不压身. It literally means more skills do not burden the body. The idea here is so simple but so profound. Learning new things is always a plus, it's never a waste of time, and it will never weigh you down. It can only help you.
Now for something really practical you'll hear all the time. In spoken Chinese, you'll often hear percentages talked about using the word cheng. 1 cheng is 10%, 8 cheng is 80%, and 10 cheng is 100%. The one really key thing to remember, though, is that you can only use this for multiples of 10. You can't say something like 2.5 cheng for 25%.
And that brings us to the end. You know, what we've covered today isn't just a random list of vocabulary. Each one of these phrases is like a key. It's a key that helps you cross that bridge from the stiff, formal Chinese you learn in a book to the fluid, natural flow of a real conversation.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Which one of these phrases really stuck with you? Which one will you be listening for this week? Or even better, be brave enough to try and use in a conversation yourself. Because taking this knowledge and actually putting it into practice, that's how you really make it your own.